All right, everybody, I'm calling this meeting to order. Tonight is Wednesday, June 24th. It is 6:32 p.m. We are all in person. I will not be reading the script about remote participation, although I'll remind everybody that our city has voted, regardless of what the governor says, we can have remote participation as long as a quorum is present in person. Tonight we have everybody here. The mayor is not yet here. He will be here. I expect him momentarily. Just kind of an overview tonight of tonight's agenda before I really get going on the agenda. We have some wonderful people in the audience for recognitions, and then we have a guest speaker this evening. We are going to, unlike most nights, we are going to go into executive session in the middle of the meeting and come back out into open session. We often go in not to return. We're going in the middle based on some timing requirements, and then we'll come back out and we'll finish the rest of our business. Okay, so with that said, how about Miss Emma, on your last meeting here, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First order of business, approval of our meeting records from the meeting on June 10th. I'm looking for a motion.
Second.
Okay, who's fighting over those? Any comments, questions, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? I'm good. That passes 8-0. And now, Dr. Cushing, the floor is yours.
Good evening, and thank you very much. Wanted to first take a moment to thank everybody for a great first year. Really appreciate the support of both the committees throughout this year and all of the individual educators, paraprofessionals, custodians, counselors, cafeteria workers, principals, assistant principals, directors, and anyone else I may have forgotten for all the work they did this year. We'll have some retirement recognitions a little bit later, but do want to make sure that I publicly thank everybody. Also want to make sure that I thank the citizens of Beverly for their love, care, and compassion of the Beverly Public Schools and the work that we do here on a daily basis. At this time, I'm extremely excited to call out the Winter 2025-2026 award winners for the Northeast Conference and other recognitions from the Salem News and other newspapers across the Commonwealth. We will also make sure to welcome back any students who couldn't make it this evening in our first or second meeting of the year starting in the fall. But in basketball, NEC All-Conference, Jacob Klass and Clara Castro. NEC All-Star, Danny Pierce, Eli Landman, and Infinity Burns. Also, if anyone is here when I call your name, please step to the podium. That would be great. Salem News All-Star, Danny Pierce, Jacob Klass, Eli Landman, and Clara Castro. Boston Herald All-Scholastic, Jacob Klass. Boston Globe All-Scholastic, Jacob Klass. School records, Jacob Klass for total points of 1,405 and a single game record of 49 points. And MIAA tournament qualifier for the boys team, who went on a great run as well. In ice hockey, NEC MVP, Logan Bowen. NEC All-Conference, Mikey O'Leary and Meredith Johnston. NEC All-Star, Kobe Melanionek, Ryan Everett, Morgan Linsky, and Avery LeBlanc. Salem News Player of the Year, Logan Bowen. Salem News All-Star, Mikey O'Leary, Kobe Malionek, Avery LeBlanc, Morgan Linsky, Meredith Johnston. Girls Hockey Team, NEC Champions. Oh, come on up. girls hockey NEC champions, and I'll tell you, they had one of the most thrilling and amazing playoff games I've ever seen. They really battled through, I would say, extraordinarily tough conditions in being bounced around between several rinks because a certain rink operator has exceptionally poor equipment. And that's the truth. I mean, the fact that 2 nights in a row the Zamboni broke down and you weren't able to play your games. You guys really played amazing and should be exceptionally proud of how well you battled all season. I know my daughter loved watching you, and it was really exciting to see how you came together as a team. And I personally loved your composure during that Winthrop game. You really held together so exceptionally well. The second Winthrop game. So, and then MIAA tournament qualifier for both the boys and girls teams. Indoor track, NEC All Conference, Jason Provost, Miles Gregory, Charlie Silva. NEC All-Star, Charlie Salerno and Grace Williams. Salem News All-Star, Charlie Silva, Jason Provost, Miles Gregory. Caddy Napnewski, Lydia Moderna. Also apologize for any improper pronunciations of names. In gymnastics, NEC Most Valuable Player, Carly Moran. NEC All-Star, Fiona Bazine. Salem News All-Star is missing a name, but I apologize for that. Boston Herald All-Scholastic, Carly Moran. Boston Globe All-Scholastic, Carly Moran. School record, Carly Moran. All-around high score of 38.375 at North Sectionals. Nice job. An MIAA tournament qualifier, Salem News Gymnast of the Year, Carly Moran, and Salem News All-Star, Fiona Bazine. Wrestling, NEC All-Conference was Ethan Skaza, Braden Pouliot, Charlie Frost, and Zhao Rice. NEC All-Star, Carter Lang, Enzo Goyce, Brody Lehman, and Casey Nako. Thank you. Salem News All-Star, Braden Pouliot, and Casey Nako. Swimming, co-op with Gloucester. I also want to mention that our girls hockey team is a co-op with Danvers and Ipswich, and one of the Ipswich players, Asaka, received a really high award, which I think also goes the composure, the way our athletes, not just for Chris LeBlanc, who's here as the girls coach in the audience, but our coaches do an amazing job to help guide, lead, and build our athletes and deserve the recognition as well. But for students coming from Ipswich and Danvers, it's a great opportunity for us to build a team as well. And so swimming, co-op with Gloucester, NEC All-Conference, Henry Siedzik, thank you, my apologies. And NEC All-Star, Susan Lowe. I just want to, nice. I just want to take a moment to congratulate all of our athletes, no matter what your championship was or wasn't. The fact that you train, you battle, you wake up early in the morning for a lot of the sports to get to the pool or get to the rink or whatever it may be. I'm exceptionally proud of what you do to represent us on the field, on the court, on the ice, or on the track, and to make sure that you do Beverly proud. And so thank you very much. Would we be able to take a quick recess for a photo with the committee?
5-minute recess. All those in favor? Here we go. Kim, 5-minute recess, sorry. All right. We're back in session. Dr. Cushing, the floor is still yours. Hey, shh, hey.
I'd also like to say that I was remiss in not mentioning that our girls hockey coach, Chris LeBlanc, was Coach of the Year. Okay, and just let me share my screen.
Actually, committee members, I am going to ask that we take things out of order. Dr. Cushing, I'm going to ask that we take things out of order
That
with
works.
you.
Sure.
Committee members, can I please ask that we jump to my report, item A, Endicott College, Civic, all right, I'm not going to butcher it. We have a guest speaker this evening, and I would like to let him speak and not be tortured by some of the minutia of our detailed meeting. I'm looking for a motion to take that item out of order.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, with that, Jason, please come to the podium, unmute your microphone,
Thank you.
and the floor is yours.
Yeah, unanimously coming to the podium. I like that. Thank you. Well, thanks for having me tonight, and congratulations on completing the school year. And Dr. Cushing, congratulations on what I understand is your first year in the seat. So congratulations to everybody, but probably mostly to the students, because they get to enjoy the summer. You all continue to work, and maybe it's even busier for you during the summer as you get ready for the next academic year. And special thanks to Lorinda for having me tonight, inviting me. I met her a couple weeks ago at the Greater Beverly Chamber of Commerce breakfast, my first one. As she said, I'm Jason Galoo. I'm the director for the Endicott Center for Civic Participation. I should state that I'm a Beverly native. I left here in 1995, went off and did a career in the Army, retired in 2020 to Dallas, Texas, where I was teaching at the Southern Methodist University and worked at the George W. Bush Presidential Center there for the last several years. If you had told me in 1995 as an 18-year-old when I left here that the experiences I would have over the last 30 years, they were unimaginable. I would not have believed you. But I'm so grateful to be back home. We just bought a house in Ralside, which I think is Ward 1. I grew up in Ward 4. I'm learning the wards. I didn't really know them as a kid, but I'm learning them now. So I'm grateful to being back. And I'm really excited to share with you what we're doing at Endicott. Really, it's an opportunity to shape, as we do in education, the next generation, but with a really bigger focus on just reigniting civic engagement across the Endicott community, the city of Beverly, and the broader North Shore. And so we launched the Center for Civic Participation with a vision, with a pretty bold vision. And that is to be a trusted hub for leadership and civic responsibility that takes this collective spirit of innovation that already exists at Endicott and in Beverly and to coalesce it around the energy that exists to propel our communities and hence the country forward. The mission, simply put, is to develop citizens of character. So to look at these 18 and 22-year-olds, generally speaking, help them understand who they are as individuals, because you can't really engage effectively in a collective self-government like the American experiment if you can't individually govern yourself. And I think we all know, even as adults, it can be hard to individually self-govern. So we're gonna help the students understand who they are, really that character piece of citizens of character, imbuing them and instilling in them the sense of pursuit of wisdom, this idea of courage and self-discipline and justice. Really taking at face value the promises that are enshrined in the declaration that we're celebrating next week, 250th anniversary, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The word happiness, when the Committee of Five wrote that 250 years ago, they got that word happiness from ancient Greek word eudaimonia, which means well-being or human flourishing. It was a sense of how do you achieve the best version of yourself? Or to go back to my Army roots and the 1980 Army slogan, be all you can be. And that is this American experiment. And at Endicott, we're kind of taking a deliberate approach to that effort. And it's not civics reintroduced as curriculum or civics as a course or civics as a check the block, but it's really infusing civics across the entire Endicott experience. And we're doing so across 3 pillars of activity that I'll share with you right here. But those pillars are built on foundational values. These values nicely spell the word price, because freedom isn't free. And it's not just those who wear the armed forces uniform or other uniforms of the United States, or those who are first responders, or those who are teachers, or those in the intelligence community. But it takes everybody as to pay a price for freedom. It's one of the great ironies is that freedom isn't free. And so our values at the Center for Civic Participation are people, respect, integrity, community, and engagement. Price. The 3 pillars of activity, we have academic and experiential learning, community engagement and community service, part of my reason for being here tonight, and also the 3rd pillar being public programming. So I'll touch on each of those just briefly and how they relate to Beverly Public Schools in the city of Beverly, and how we kind of envision this effort going forward, which is brand new. So under academic and experiential learning, we would love for Endicott to partner more so with Beverly Public Schools, getting Endicott students and engaging with high school students, middle school students, and maybe even elementary students, where we get this intergenerational mix of the people who are going to inherit the American experiment from all of us. That next generation has to figure it out for themselves, how this democracy works for them. And so they might as well get to know each other and look up to one another, rather than the middle schoolers looking up to old folks like me. They can look up to students. We're also looking at doing that with not just Beverly, but other surrounding communities on the North Shore. And within the academic and experiential learning, this also leaps over to community engagement and public programming. We're launching an ECCP, that's the Center for Civic Participation, because it's kind of long to say, the ECCP speaker forum, where 3 to 4 speakers each semester are going to come to Endicott from across the country and maybe even across the world. They're going to come here and spend 2 nights. We'll put them up at the Wiley Inn on campus, and they'll do 2 or 3 classroom engagements, intimate settings with students, but also engage students at an informal lunch. We also want to do broader community lunches. Maybe there's a lunch with select Beverly school faculty, or maybe we can bring a speaker into the Beverly Public Schools for the relevant and appropriate classes that these speakers will touch on. And I'm happy to share more details with who those speakers are as we learn them over the next several months. On community engagement and public programming, this is where the big tie is. And I met Dr. Cushing yesterday alongside Todd Rotundo as we talked about Beverly and Endicott partnering on the 9/11 25th commemoration that we will host at Endicott. So if you haven't been, recognizing how fast time goes, this is the 25th, I hesitate to call it an anniversary, but 25 years ago on September 11th were the terrorist attacks that we all remember well. Our students from college on down, they're all post 9/11 kids. It is just but a memory to them. So with this commemoration that we want to do, we want to educate, we want to inform, and we want to inspire these students to understand how 9/11 changed the world, and help them understand that when we grow complacent as a society, we can have impacts, tragedy that can bring us together. And so that's something that's the big participation piece, if I may, for that 9/11 commemoration is we would love for a Beverly Middle School 8th grader to speak at the event and to share what America means to them. Because again, they can't comment on 9/11, but it would be wonderful to hear from a 13 or 14-year-old kid what America means to them. Because America changes with every generation. And that's the next generation that's coming up. And I'll close, and I'm open to your questions and to provide more detail. I always respect time and never want to steal too much of people's time. But I'll close by saying, thinking about our founders. We're all, as we talk about America 250 and Beverly 400. By the way, when my friends and colleagues from around the nation talk about America 250, I say, yeah, but in Beverly, we're celebrating 400. So when you guys get closer to us, then we can celebrate. But we have Beverly, we have America 250, Beverly 400, and then right on the heels of that is that 9/11 25th. So that'd be a moment of reflection, perhaps after the celebration. But thinking about the founders, I in today's world with Hamilton as the musical, I like to put Jefferson and Hamilton against each other a little bit, or put them together in a nice way. Jefferson said and wrote a lot about that there are two great pitfalls to our republic: ignorance and apathy. Hamilton wrote in a letter in 1784 that when our public councils treat their responsibilities like a sport, we will end up with a spirit of government that is distracted, feeble, and arbitrary. And I think we need only look around at various levels of government and other places where when we don't take our responsibilities seriously, what can happen. So the three directives I take from Jefferson and Hamilton is be informed. And in 2026, I would say be well and accurately informed, and be productively engaged. And then to be serious about our responsibilities while not always taking ourselves so seriously. With that, Lorinda, I yield back my time.
Thank you so much. So to everybody here, surprise, we have a guest speaker tonight. As Jason said, met him at the legislative breakfast the Chamber of Commerce had. Senator Lovely, Representative Bowen, and Mayor Cahill. And as many of you know, I am an Endicott grad. I have a child who's an Endicott grad, and when I saw Jason with his Endicott tag on, I said, all right, I'm going to go see who this guy is, especially in light of the conversations our community has had relative to Endicott. And I do believe that we, as a body, and the city as a body should be much more engaged. I'm a huge fan. It is a great day to be a Gull. It's always a great day to be a Gull. And I think that there are partnerships, there are benefits that can be had, and we need to start with a dialogue. And so I said, what are you doing Wednesday the 24th? Come speak to the body. And so I did kind of warn him he might get some tough questions. So really, I think he's prepared. If anybody has any questions for him, please. I see Lindsay's hand and then Ms. Robinson. Ms. Ducharme.
First of all, thank you. That was great. I had no idea that Endicott was doing that. Second, and probably what should have been first, I want to say thank you for your service to our country. I heard you say that you served in the Army, so thank you for that. I think that a couple different things. I have lots of questions about our partnership with Endicott. Not all of them are appropriate for this circumstance, so I'm gonna, I too also think that we could do a little bit more for Endicott. And while I started at UNH, I too did finish at Endicott, and I'm an Endicott grad. So I think that I guess more of a comment and a hope that I think that our 8th grade teacher teams do a really great job, specifically around civics. They did some work with some of our elected officials on city council and school committee this year from an engagement perspective. And so I would think that they would be open to a partnership. I appreciate the suggestion that you have, but I think any opportunity for our kids to partner with that level of education and engagement, especially on a topic like civics, would be something that I would love to see us do something more with. So I would look forward to hearing more from the administration and from Endicott about what that partnership might look like. So thank you.
Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. I just wanted to also thank you for your service, and also just to say I love the idea of our students partnering with Endicott, whether it's just with conversations or community service. I know Endicott has an amazing internship program that our students here could certainly learn from, and just to have so many meaningful experiences with our college and the college that's in our city. And anytime we see students doing meaningful activities with leadership, anything that gives them opportunities to have a more sense of agency, I think it's just a great thing. It's a great thing for students to have meaningful activities outside of the school within our community. So thank you so much. Thank you, Lorinda, for bringing Jason here. So.
And President Viscott, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to say I've thought a lot since meeting with Jason and Todd yesterday, and would like to find a way to make sure that we expand this to the entire district for students in all grade levels to say, what does America mean to them, with a specific focus on our 8th grade around the Civics project, to be able to give a speech. And that will be posted in our, with a rubric, will be posted in our final newsletter tomorrow or over the weekend. No, I'm sorry, not tomorrow, Friday. For some reason, I think it's Thursday already. Would love to be able to make sure that that's there. We'll share with Jason that so he can have some input on it. Just did some research last night on some other districts that are doing things along this line, and would love to be able to expand it to students as a summer project, but focus on the 8th grade, having it done by the start of school.
Right, so, Mr. Mayor, I saw your hand up, and I'm tempted to add some color before I call on you, but I'll hold my tongue.
All right. Thank you, Madam President. Jason, thank you for your service to our country and now your service to Endicott and the greater Beverly community. 2 questions. One, what is your title now at Endicott?
So my title is Director of the Center for Civic Participation.
Okay. So you're director, what are the students calling you? Director Galoo?
No, Jason.
I figured
It
you'd
is
say
straight
that.
Jason.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got you.
Back to Jason here in Beverly.
So thank you on all counts. And I do just want to ask you another question. Did you tell your dad you were going to be here tonight speaking?
I think I called him on the way. Yeah.
So he's watching?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't
right.
know
Well,
until I met Kim that this was going to be on TV.
Okay, so I saw your dad at one of our recent trash and recycling community meetings, and he started talking about you, which he did the last time I saw him a year or so ago, and bragging on you. And so, and you have done some very impressive things in your service to our country. Please make sure he knows to go back and watch this, because it'll be rebroadcast many times.
I will tell him. Oh, for sure. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
All
Was he
right,
good at, did he behave himself at the trash and recycling meeting?
Nobody does.
He loves
Fifth,
life.
take the
I can
fifth.
tell that. He was great.
Yeah, I mean, my parents, born and raised, they've been here, their whole lives, so.
That's fantastic. Mr.
Thanks.
Taylor, I saw your hand.
Thank you again, as others have said, for your service to our country. And thank you as well for raising the point about 9/11. Yes, our college students, many of our college students don't remember 9/11. It's a YouTube video for many of them, and that's okay. But we should remember that as a world and as a community, that it's always helpful if we share with them our own life experiences. I was wondering, Mr. Superintendent, if this makes sense, or Chair Visnick, if this makes sense to extend as well to our, don't we have a new civics requirement for our 12th graders?
And 8th.
Yeah,
And 8th.
yeah. I didn't know if.
Yeah, 11th and 8th, right? 11th.
Oh, okay, all right.
Sorry.
Okay, so I didn't know if it made sense to extend this to other
Right, I
grades.
think that's a little bit of what Ms. Ducharme was alluding to, our 8th graders. This year had some of us, raise your hand if you made a video or went on stage, thank you, right? So the 8th grade civics teachers reached out to the elected officials and said, either please come sit in the auditorium and let the children ask you questions or send in a video. It was very nicely done. Several of the city councilors spoke, myself, Council President Flowers, and your chief of staff were up on the stage, and we answered live questions. And then the children got to, hopefully all of you got at least one email from somebody asking you a question. And I certainly got a lot. So yeah, that's the 8th grade piece. Not really sure about the 11th grade piece, but that is absolutely an area where we can potentially coordinate. And we've had fellows before. I talked to Jason about the fact that we've had fellows in the past, and unfortunately, this coming year's budget, we don't have money in the budget to get any fellows from Endicott, but hopefully we'll get back to that. Our ice hockey teams play at their facility, and I know there's a lot of chatter about being a nonprofit and about not paying taxes and about pilot payments. And so I will say, again, I am quote unquote biased because I have a degree from Endicott. I think they're a fantastic community partner, and they do pay what I believe is a fairly sizable pilot payment, and they don't have to. So the fact that they want to come and help us in other ways is a fantastic thing. And I invite all of us to continue to think about what are some of those ways. And now we have an exact contact point to try to exercise some of those. All right, looking around the room, any other questions for our guest speaker this evening? The first one of the year on the last meeting of the year.
First and last.
First
Huh?
and last.
First-
We saved the best for
Okay, well,
last.
I don't know about that, but thank you for the opportunity. And I will close by, I know my dad talked to the mayor, mentioned, some of my experiences, but I did 20 plus years in the Army, and during that time I had a chance to spend 4 years in the White House. I did 2.5 years with President Obama and a year and a half with President Trump. So I had I remember, many times sitting in the Oval or the Situation Room or on the Air Force One, and I would think about this is an amazing set of experiences. The kid who at 12 years old played hockey in the Soviet Union representing the United States, wondering why governments do what they do. I had a chance to see behind the curtain two very different people leading the same set of challenges for our nation. And I remember asking myself, what is my obligation? What am I, beyond just learning as a student or as an Army officer or as a citizen, what am I supposed to do with these sets of experiences? And finding my way back to Beverly, which was a surprise to all of us, really. And then landing at Endicott, which is 4 minutes from my parents' front door to their front gate, which I had to the point of partnering more, I had no idea how close Endicott really was to my house. Although when I was a kid, it was a different school, a different type of school then. But now I recognize, I want to bring home the experience that I've had to share with the next generation, most importantly, but then with our, broader fellow citizens about how, what I saw and how things work, so that we can just keep this American experiment, into year 251 after next Saturday. So again, thank you, Madam President, and thank you, committee, and thanks for all you do in your service to our great set of students. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Cushing, we'll go back to, I believe we were in your report on item B.
Hopefully the technology or the operator of the technology can do better with it this time.
I'm gonna, while you're working on that, I'm gonna say, team, we're going to we're gonna pay attention to our agenda and maybe take some other things out of order so that we can go into executive session at 7:30. That is our goal. We are expecting our legal counsel here for that time. Clearly, if they're not here at that time, we'll delay a little further. We'll do more business before we go in, but that is the goal.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you to our NEC athletes who were here earlier this evening for their recognitions. And again, we will make sure that that the offer is extended in September as well. At this point, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the retirements of several staff members across the district. And so some of these have been recognized in person previously this year, but still. Executive Secretary to the Superintendent with 32 years of experience, Donna Bergeron. Physical education teacher with 27 years of experience to the district at the Hannah School most recently, Roberta Brown. Second grade teacher with 22 years of experience at Cove School, Lori Cox. Reading teacher with 13 years of experience at Ayers with Lori Dialio. 31 years of experience as a special education administrative assistant, Deborah DeFazio. 5 years of experience for the director of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics at Beverly High School, Jennifer Thomas DiVirgilio Thomas, I apologize. Carla Feuerbach with special education teacher, 5 years at Beverly High School. Paige Forster, paraprofessional, 21 years with the district, Beverly High School. Danielle Hopkins, grade 5 teacher, Beverly Middle School with 24 years of experience. Susan Gervanis, special education teacher with 4 years with the district at Beverly Middle School. Chandler Jones, physical education teacher, 25 years of experience at North Beverly Elementary School. Martha Pike, teacher, 17 years of experience at Hannah School. Grace Scherer, special education teacher, 27 years at Beverly Middle School. Maureen Shug, team chair, 38 years of experience. Sheila Sullivan, teacher with 32 years of experience at Ayers. Alice Williams, technology specialist with 26 years in the district for Beverly Middle School and the technology department. Alexandra Wozniak, librarian, 20 years of experience with Beverly Middle School. And Elizabeth Young, 4th grade teacher at North Beverly School with 19 years of experience. I'd like to take a moment to really thank these educators and other support staff who have really dedicated themselves to the Beverly Public Schools and what it means to make every day a great day to be a Panther for all of our students, for the smiles that they brought, for the education that they helped students to find along the way, and with all of the great support that they brought to our kids on a daily basis, whether they came from a home that needed or a home that needed for nothing, that these educators were there for them on the daily, and their dedication, service, and passion is recognized by the district. Last evening, I'm sure many of you tuned in to or were present in person to see the City Council vote on the city's budget. So at this time, I am requesting as a formality and recommend that the Beverly School Committee vote to accept the appropriation as voted by the Beverly City Council on June 23rd, 2026 in the amount of $89,876,235. This amount is $4,503,621 higher than the current year's appropriation. This represents $3,621 more than the balanced budget that was presented to the committee on May 13th, 2026. The overage will be added to the healthcare line in the budget, which is the overage of $3,621. Here is an overview of the FY27 budget and the broken down through cost centers, as you can see here. And this relates back to the first budget book that was presented and published by the district.
All right, so I'm going to do a little song and dance here. And what I'm going to say is that earlier today, Mr. Taylor said, do I need to do any homework if I'm going to take a vote? And I said, no, we don't really, it's my understanding from legal counsel that we don't need to vote on this item. And so from a full disclosure point of view, I've been sitting at the city council meetings pretty much every night and partaking in their budget conversations, and we pretty much, the writing was on the wall that the schools were going to get a number less than this body, voted for. And so in preparation for that, I reached out to the city solicitor and I said, if and when the city gives us a number, the city council votes on their budget, and it's a number lower than what we as a body voted on, do we have to re-vote on that? And the city solicitor said no. I went to our legal counsel and asked that same question, and they said no, yet we can't talk about things and we certainly can't vote on them if they're not on our agendas. So I did not yet have the answers from both of those legal counsels before Dr. Cushing and I made this agenda. And yet we still think that it is kind of like a dot your I's, cross your T's thing for us to actually physically vote. Because the budget that we did vote on, there were line items that matched the monetary number. And now we have a different monetary number. And so from a formality point of view, Dr. Cushing wishes for us to vote on a budget whose line items match the monetary number that has been given to us. We have a budget that we reviewed that matches very closely, as like he said, what's the slide, $3,000 difference. And his suggestion is that we take that $3,000 and we put it into the healthcare line item. As especially the people on F&F know, at any given meeting, we do a budget transfer. We see that one account is running low, one's running high, we transfer. So there's no guarantee that that extra $3,000 will sit in healthcare. Maybe they'll need more. We'll hope not. But so that's kind of where we are this evening and what you're being asked to vote on and why. With that, I will look around the table to see if anybody has any questions. Yes, Ms. Ducharme.
I don't have a question so much as to sort of say that it's my understanding that, okay, so you clarified that we don't actually have to have this vote. I had that question as well. And so thank you for seeking out that clarification from both legal counsel and the city solicitor. I am disappointed that the fiscal reality of our community is that we can't seem to get around funding for what our district is telling us are the critical needs. But I think what we did was a really big step in terms of having transparent conversations about what those trade-offs are. And so I still think that while the reality is that the district can't afford seemingly what we are asking of them, I think it's still really important to make the ask, and I'm proud of this body for doing so. I am equally disappointed, while I understand that there are fiscal constraints that everybody is feeling in their homes. I'm disappointed that our community couldn't get around the full proposed trash fee. I think that would have gone a long way to help some of the cuts that we heard about at City Council last night. And I respect our colleagues on City Council for having those difficult conversations and needing to make those difficult decisions. So there's a few layers of sort of disappointment and conflicting priorities that we're dealing with. But I guess I just want to say that I think it's important to know, I guess what I was going to say also is that it's my understanding, well, had we had to vote on this, what I was going to say was that my understanding was that if we didn't vote on it, that the district wouldn't be able to pay the bills, basically, but that's not the case. So thank you for clearing that.
Actually, that is, well, yeah, again, from a legal
From a
point
legal
of view.
perspective, we don't
right,
have
we
to do
don't
that.
have
So that
to,
was my
but-
concern,
right.
regardless of whether or not we supported it. The potential negative outfall was that the district couldn't pay the bills, and so that's not the case, and I'm glad to hear that. I guess I just wanted to comment that while the fiscal reality seems to be what it was, I still think it was what we did was really important, and it's something that we need to continue to do. So I guess that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments? Does everybody understand what, yes, Ms. Coelho?
I think per Robert's rules, because it does have an asterisk next to it, we do need to make a motion and have a second.
Beautiful. Would you like to make that
I will
motion?
make that motion.
I'm looking for a second. Thank you, Ms. Ducharme. Questions, comments? There's a motion on the table. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, myself, 5. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Motion passes 5-4. Dr. Cushing, you have anything else on your report? Yeah, you do.
Just briefly. So wanted to give an update on the MTSS BSST special education audit. The RFP is written. I just want to do one final review, and I will share it with the procurement office in Beverly so that we can publish that. I've already contacted, just so that everybody's aware, Walker, which does audits. They run therapeutic educational programs across the state. However, they do this type of work that's comprehensive, and I have received a report from them previously in another district that was really amazing for a in-district program. So I have high confidence in their abilities. I've done extensive work in preparation for this with Hanover Research, speaking with them, and have checked references on them already, and have previously worked with the American Institute of Research, also known as AIR. AIR is actually contracted by DESE to do annual district reviews for school districts, and most recently was called in for a situation in Fall River by the department. And so their work is extremely well vetted as well. So why am I saying these names? Well, while we will publish the RFP widely, it will be specifically sent to contacts in these organizations for them to consider. If there's any other contacts that anybody else feels that we should consider, I'm happy to take that under consideration and make sure that it is sent to them as well. But these are 3 specific organizations that do this work. I know do the work well from checking references and having personal experience with them, or having personal experience with them. I have personal experience with both AIR and Walker from a receiving informational reports and audits, and Hanover Research from working through it on this and another project. Proposals will be due approximately 6 weeks from publication, but that timeline will be set by Beverly Procurement. We will then need to seek either to see where we are in our own budget cycle, or to seek a free cash request from the city if that's possible. Now, if you watched last night, you know that cash reserves are lower than previous years. However, during my presentation to the city council, there seemed to be a flavor for realizing that this is important work and to be able to make some steps actionable. We will be doing strategy planning next year as well, and throughout the summer. So all of this work comes together at a really critical and important time to set forward a plan for the next 5 to 10 years. And interestingly enough, Lexington has a 10-year plan. But as one example, my experience has been mostly around 5-year plans. And so I think all of this comes together at an extremely important and critical time as we are talking about budgets, as how do we expand the pie has been talked about, and what are the true needs of the Beverly Public Schools. And as I said to the city council, what are we prepared to do as a city to make sure that our schools are not necessarily overfunded, but we're funding the needs that are critical. And, you know, also there's other things that will make us a superior district and a flagship district for the entire Commonwealth. And so with that, I would like to close with, you know, the moniker that I've brought to the Beverly Public Schools, that it's a great day to be a Panther. My final message to the families will be delivered tomorrow night via ConnectEd phone call. And my newsletter will follow, but to say thank you and to make sure everybody knows when the start of school is next year.
Yes, Ms. Ducharme?
Thank you for that update. I appreciate it. So you and I have spoken about it. So I didn't realize that there was a 6-week from publication timeframe. Do we think that you identified 3 organizations, and then you did say you were going to publish them widely? Is that like a typical turnaround that they should not be like surprised by and be able to accommodate?
Generally.
Awesome. Okay, that's great.
Yes, generally speaking.
Oh, I do have my mic on. And then I think sort of the committee work that the subcommittee did was sort of around the subject of MTSS at the same time, and what work we could do in the meantime while we were waiting for the audit. And I know that we've talked about potentially having some updates, and I was really pleased to hear during the last Curriculum Instruction and Student Life CISL meeting that the district is planning some work at a per building level around MTSS. And I know that we've talked about whether that we can see a regular, I know that you've said that it seems reasonable to expect that the committee can expect regular updates on the MTSS work and the district initiative. And you're still trying to figure out whether or not that might happen during CISL or the committee of the whole. But I thought it might be worth repeating for anybody that was curious about it. And anybody listening from home, that's something that we've agreed that we can expect going forward, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that.
More than likely in the main committee meeting as opposed
Yep.
to CISL.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Cahill, did you have your hand up? No, okay. All right, so at this point in time, our counsel, Ms. Jen King, has arrived, and we are at the spot on the agenda that I am going to make a motion that we meet in executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for the following purposes: 7, 3, and 3. Purpose 7 is to review and approve executive session meeting minutes. Purpose 3 is to discuss litigation as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the Beverly School Committee, so declares the chair. And purpose 3 is to discuss strategy with respect to and preparation for collective bargaining with the AFS. I'm reading the wrong chair, sorry. So executive meeting minutes, purpose 3, to discuss litigation with BSADA and the Beverly School Committee as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the school committee, so declares the chair. And also session 3, purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to, I don't think we're doing this, but I'm going to say it, and it's always better to say it, and then if we don't do it, oh well. With respect to and in preparation for collective bargaining with AFSCME units, because an open discussion may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. And as I mentioned to all of you earlier, we are going to return to open session. That is my motion. May I have a second?
Second.
This requires a roll call vote. Mayor Cahill,
Yes.
Ms. Cahill,
Yes.
Ms. Coelho,
Yes.
Ms. Ducharme,
Yes.
Ms. Frost.
Yes.
Ms. Lennox,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Myself, yes. It is currently 7:27. We're going to head across the hall into a side room of the principal's office for reasons 7 and 3, to review executive session meeting minutes and to discuss litigation specifically with BSADA and potentially also with Ask Me units, because an open conversation would be detrimental to our body. And Kim, you're just kind of on hold. Yes, ma'am.
May I leave my things here or should I bring them with me? Okay, cool. Thank you, Kim.
We have talked about this policy with Dr. Cushing. And Dr. Cushing, I believe that you have some recommended changes.
Yes, I do, and I will share my screen, and... Sorry, I just need to make sure the right one.
Miss Cahill, if you want, why don't you come up and take Emma's spot? Or Lori's spot, or somebody's spot.
Okay. And, hold on, let me...
Oh, dear.
So read through it all, closely looked at it. my suggestions are, we have definitions here, and then what I would say is applicable categories to add: students, employees, volunteers, contractors, vendors, school committee members, and individuals using district technology or district branding. So basically, if somebody tries to take our district branding and utilize that as part of a deep fake, that I think that's critical. But I thought that calling out this would be important. So this used to say students shall not, and this should be highlighted as well, apologize. What I tried to do was not do the track changes, just because I thought that it might just get a little bit too cumbersome. So neither students nor any staff member shall create, generate, possess, distribute, transmit, request, solicit, publish, or share synthetic media or deep fakes. That, because we don't want anybody in our district doing these types of things. And so that's any staff member, regardless of unit, non-unit, anything along those lines. Then further down, I wanted to really put in here also some employee protections. I'm very concerned about how some employees, or I would characterize members of this committee, being considered employees as well, as you do receive compensation, but employees are specifically protected from voice cloning, face cloning, synthetic avatars, uncategorized AI training using employee images, and AI-generated impersonation. Those types of things, so it doesn't look as if a school committee member is supporting or doing something that is contrary to who they are or what the district's mission, vision, and core values are. So no changes here through investigation, disciplinary action, coordination with law enforcement. I didn't go deep here, but I do think we might need to expand upon the cross-references in the future, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But I do feel, just scrolling through, so other actions needed, the answer is yes. I highlighted procedures here because I think over the next few months, we'll need to develop a specific AI procedures manual that takes a look at what the high school has done. I think Mark Thomas and his team have done a nice job with what they have, but really expanding it across the district. And then here to add, and I know that this was administrative regulations, and other law, coordination with police and other law enforcement agencies and the Massachusetts Attorney General as necessary. So as this becomes more of an issue, and then I added this review section here. For this policy will be reviewed annually, given the rapid acceleration of artificial intelligence technology, law, educational practice, and cybersecurity threats.
Sorry, Mr. Superintendent. Did you, coordination with law enforcement up above, did you change anything? I thought that was a really good section that Catherine had written.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, because we wanted to be very
I'll just change this.
affirmatively minded that the superintendent would notify law enforcement if there was a problem.
Yeah, and to be clear, I would say that throughout my career, I have probably over-notified school resource officers, picking up the phone and saying like, I just want to make sure. We recently had a situation that I notified everybody of, and as soon as it became known to me, even though I was on the side of Interstate 95 charging my vehicle, I immediately forwarded it to the chief of police as well as the 2 school resource officers, because I felt like that type of escalation in that situation was necessary. So to be clear, yes, and I did appreciate this section.
Okay, so can we go back up to the very first thing you added, your first bit of yellow? And then we're going to go around the room. I saw Mr. Frost's hand first, and then I think down at the end, who else had their hand up? We'll just go around the table, okay? So go, please.
Since this is a J policy, would we need to flesh it out for each of those subsections? Good question. So would employees need a different, similar, but because this is a student, so employees would have their own chunk, just like, remember how we had the,
Yep.
not
Yep.
the alcohol, the tobacco conversation? there's a employee one is student one. Would we want to do something like that? And-
So I would agree, yes, to do that. But I guess my suggestion right now would be that however we accept this tonight, that we accept it under the J section, realizing that I've added the cross-reference, but I've also added the annual review that, we have some policies like our bullying and harassment policy that I believe is 2 years. And a lot of the policies are on a 5-year cycle. And
Yeah,
so.
there's a CAF policy that's 2 years as well.
Yeah, so just thinking of, this is now probably going to be our first annual. If I'm not correct on that, I'm happy to be wrong, but
And we don't have to wait that long. That is we have to do it in that time frame. So I don't want the perfect to be the enemy of good enough. And so, Dr. Cushing and I have talked. I asked you guys, and I appreciate your work on this. I want something on the books, and we can, pick it back up. Policy committee, you want to work this summer? You can work this summer, post your meeting. Lori will be working, Ms. Quill will be working all summer, and dissect it into its 2 parts. And the very first meeting that we have in August, we can vote on accepting changes. So that's what I have to say about that. Ms. Ducharme?
Dr. Cushing, I have a couple clarifying questions. Under applicable categories, I just want to make sure I understand where you're putting that. You're putting that under the real person. Okay. So I'm just trying to think about, because I'm just looking at the screen versus what we have here. I'm thinking we're sort of defining the applicable categories, but then later on, we're saying things like neither students nor any staff member, but we're not saying, right, we're not sort of expanding and referencing the applicable categories. Maybe it's because we can't, no, let me retract that. I'll just simply ask why, is there any value in just saying applicable categories versus just saying students or staff member? And is that something we should flush out pro and con wise? Because I appreciate applicable categories.
So.
I think,
Yep.
do you mind if I tag on to that? I understand that our policies are, for all intents and purposes, for students and staff, but we do engage volunteers. We do engage in contract with contractors, vendors. And so I think it is with all of those parties, not just as students and staff, are within our purview, our control, and our responsibility.
I guess the way I saw it was that we have oversight over students and staff.
Yeah.
And while we do have oversight over vendors, contractors, the reality is that severance thereof, that relationship might be slightly easier than, when you're looking at collective bargaining agreements or student discipline laws. And so if somebody, for whatever reason, as a contractor or a volunteer, or vendor, does something, we can simply prohibit them from being a part of the organization. I would hate to do that to volunteers, but
Yeah.
in particular, but if a vendor or company or contractor does something, we can also look to add these types of things into contracts moving forward.
That's what I was
For
thinking.
their
Okay.
performance.
And then I had a follow-up question, if that's okay. So down at the bottom, you referenced other actions needed, and we just had a conversation about annual review, that it can be sooner than that. What is your intent with the above the review part? Because I understood that other action section from our policy committee to be sort of a note to us, not necessarily something to be part of the policy. So I'm just wondering if you could clarify what your intent is there.
So I saw the other actions needed as administrative regulations with policies, or would it be procedures? So essentially creating an AI manual thereof. And while there's not a timeline here, this is something I'd like to really work on and build throughout the next, say, 6-month period, vet with school leaders, bring it back to the committee to make sure that it's in line with the expectations thereof. And while doing that work, also examine what other policy needs there might be. So I saw this as, while it's under this other actions needed, with the bolding here of administrative regulations, I saw it, while it's under the cross references, that wasn't lost on me either, just so you know. But I saw it as in line with coordination of disciplinary action, those types of things, as another subsection that maybe was more of a thought after the overall process.
Got it.
But needed to be there as like, we expect the administration, the district
Yep.
leadership to.
Yeah, all right, so I might have a motion to that, but we haven't done a first or a second, so we're not to that point, so I'll hold on that.
Thank you. So I was just going to add, I was thinking about this for our last meeting, but I think it's really important that we, in our, do we call it a portrait of a graduate or a vision of a graduate here at Beverly? Portrait or vision?
I believe it's portrait, but it's,
Portrait. I get it confused with another town. I think it'd be really important to get something on digital citizenship in there. If it's not in there, I don't have it in front of me, obviously, but I think it's a really important thing as we move forward in terms of technology to get digital citizenship.
I appreciate that, and I think you're 100% accurate. And I want to very clearly qualify the word may here. I think with everything that has come out in the last few days on the graduation requirements, I think that we may, for all of our high school leaders who may be listening right now, I think we may have to really take a much deeper look at that portrait of a graduate to add on to all those things I talked about in the much earlier portion of the meeting of work that the district needs to do moving forward.
Thank you.
But I think you're 100% right.
All right, so I'm going to, again, suggest that I would really like this for us to vote this in and not let perfect be the enemy of good enough. And that change, as well as some other changes, the policy committee, I trust them to take it up in a time frame that they think is applicable. If it's the summer, great. If it's the fall, when we all come back to the table, so be it. That said, I am looking for a motion this is our second reading, to accept this policy as modified by the superintendent of schools.
I'd like to make a motion with one amendment to the bottom part. One small amendment to his, but otherwise accepting, and I'm happy to clarify.
Friendly amendment, throw it across the table to him.
Friendly amendment, Dr. Cushing.
Second?
What is it? What is your
I
friendly
didn't know if
amendment?
okay, sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm tired. So I
Yeah.
guess my proposal would be to accept his changes. I think that we should change it to administrative regulations with policies and/or procedures and just take out the question mark. That to me reads like an action item. And I appreciate your proposal. I'm just looking to clarify the action item, I guess. And so my proposal would be administrative regulation with policies and/or procedures for evidence preservation, parent caregiver notification, review and coordination with police and other law enforcement. And so the rest of that added as is. So there you go. Change to
I'm actually going to
policies.
suggest to take policies out because policy is your purview. Procedures are the leadership
Okay, that's a great
purview.
point. I'll
And are you
accept that. Yep, I'll accept that.
Are we deleting, quote, other actions needed as well?
I think that we should. I would add that as well. Yep,
Okay,
And then
appreciate that.
I'm also going to go with this. Just give me a second.
Oh, you want to put it up above?
Yep.
Okay.
So that it is not below. So normally our policies and MASC's
End it,
policies
yeah.
end with
the cross
These,
references.
yes.
Yep,
MGL.
okay, that's great.
Second.
Yep.
All right, so Lindsay made the motion. Who did I hear the second? Okay, fantastic. Any other questions, comments? There's a motion on the table. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes 9-0. Thank you very much. Will you stop sharing so I can share? Sharing.
yes,
Can I
yes.
just express a quick thanks to the committee because we had some really interesting meetings around that, and it was not an easy subject to approach. And everybody did a wonderful job.
All right, and I'm just gonna warn you guys, my computer appears to be like really struggling, so we'll see how well it thinks it can get through our slides. All right, so as we're handing out thank yous, I wanna appreciate, shout out everybody. Look, the date on this slide is wrong. The name on this slide is wrong. I clearly was scrambling. Everybody who worked hard. We were on a crunch time zone, a time frame rather, and I realize not everybody was happy with the quote-unquote technology decision that I made. Ms. Quill did yeoman's work. And what I'm going to present tonight are the summary, like the scores, the summation, what we do. Each of us gives our score, they get totaled, and the combination score, the average score, you'll see in a minute, I'm going to talk about a couple different statistics, is delivered to the superintendent. In addition, Ms. Quill is tasked with creating a full report. Full disclosure, that report is not done yet. That report will contain everybody's every single comment. So what I have here tonight are the summary scores and comments that match. If in a given category he got a met, then Ms. Quill picked a comment that matched that rating. To say it another way, we would not give a needs improvement comment with an exemplary rating. Those wouldn't match. So the comments have to match the scores. Okay, that said, here we go. So here were the goals that the previous group voted, and these were all in your packets. Off to the little side here, I gave the rubric. Basically, I directed Lori to do math, right, instead of just using words, because you'll see we're going to talk about some statistics on this very next slide. Yes?
Could you put it in presentation mode?
How do, in, oh,
Slideshow.
I see, slideshow, thanks. I'm not a Google Doc person.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I apologize.
All right, so I'll go, so here are our goals. All these, I gave this to you guys on paper, and what I added on the side is what I asked Lori to do math-wise. If somebody, for these 4 goals, we had the choice of from exceeded down to did not meet, and this is what I assigned them for points, and so you'll see, hey, did it go? Yes. So there are 3 different ways we can do the math of totaling up somebody's score. We can use a mean, which is the average. So we would take everybody's, according to that rubric, do the math. If it was needs improvement, you would get a 2. If it was a proficient, you would get a 3. If it was exemplary, that would be a 4. And so we would add up all those scores. I gave a little example here: 2 needs improvements, 3 proficients, 3 exemplaries. And I do believe there was a group that had this combination, this spread. We add up those scores and we divide by the number of scores that we have. We have 8 scores. So that ends up being, that math, if I did it correctly, is 25 divided by 8. For an average score of 3.125, and then you take that 3.125 over back to the rubric, and that translates to a proficient. And so if we were just to use the words, we would lose some of the, in my opinion, we would lose some of the data. We would lose seeing that there was this span of scores. So we can also talk about the mode, which is what value occurs most frequently. And in fact, in this example, it's bimodal. Both proficient and exemplary occur 3 times. That's odd. It's a little bit odd, but it's mathematically possible. And then we can talk about the median. And the median is, again, if we had all 9, we would actually have a value in the middle, but we had 8 present, 8 evaluations turned back in. And so with a median value, you pick the spot in between 4 and 5. And if those were different values, then we would average the two. In this particular example, both 4 and 5 are a P, so our median value is a P. So I'm going to present to you each of these 3 different statistics for every one of the goals and every one of the learning standards rather. All right, so here, summary, the big fat summary is that on the 4 goals, this is how we as a body, 5 of the 8 of us, for instance, on goal 1, said he met the goal. 2 of the 8 of us said SI, which is significant progress, thank you. And SP is some progress. Again, Miss Quill had in the file she gave me a key. I foolishly didn't include that key. So depending on which statistical method we use for goal number 1, which was effective entry and direction setting, we can say that Dr. Cushing met that goal if we use the mode. We can say he met that goal if we use the median. And we can say he was at a 3.5, which is the perfect middle in between significant progress and met from a pure average point of view. Do everybody understand the math in the 3 different columns? So these are the goals. I think that I wish to make a note of the fact that goal number 4, to your credit, Dr. Cushing, you did not have to provide a 4th goal, and you did. And I think that the fact that you provided a bonus goal and everybody agrees that you made significant progress on it is actually a good thing. You might not feel that way. You might want to see all Mets, but positive Patty in me says, I think that it's great that you provided a bonus goal. And in fact, the body as a whole thinks you made significant progress towards that goal. Here are the standards that were highlighted on your sheets. These are the big categories in blue, and the focus indicators in highlighted yellow. And for these items, the spread of points is only 4. For the other one, it was 5. Oh, sorry. And so again, here's our little summary sheet. Standard number 1, we agreed to use indicators 1B, instruction, and 1D, as in David, evaluation. And by the mode and the median, Dr. Cushing gets a P for proficient, and the score by average is 2.875, which is more than halfway towards a 3, but not quite a full 3, not quite a full proficient if we look at it through that mathematical lens. And you can just kind of read those other the other standards, how our body rated. And I particularly find it interesting to see the range, for instance, in standard 3, which is communications, right? 3 people thought Dr. Cushing was exemplary in this category, while 2 thought he needed improvement. Those are really like the ends of the spectrum. And I think our body, we see that in some of our meetings. We see split votes. We see a lot of discussion. And so to some extent, I thought it was good to see that confirmed in the data. Versus goal number 4, we see what I would consider in mathematical terms an outlier. 7 of the 8 of us agreed on something, and 1 person was an outlier. Okay, and so now for each of the goals and each of the standards, Ms. Quill has picked a quote that she thinks supports the score. So for goal number 1, across the top of this slide, depending on whether we're using the mode, the median, or the average, the mean, that's what MET 3.5 stands for, the three different statistical methods. This is the quote that somebody gave. It's totally anonymous. I'll be quiet so y'all can read it. Okay, hopefully you're all fairly fast readers. Goal number 2, same exact score as the last goal, depending on mean, mode, or mean, and median. This is not in quotes, so a little not totally sure. I haven't spent a ton of time with Ms. Quill. I think that sometimes, well, this is an example. It's just not in direct quotes. So whether she combined multiple people's quotes or whether she interpreted something somebody said and she didn't think it was good enough English, this is what she has provided for us. It's also possible that I dropped the quotes. So if that's somebody's quote, please don't be offended. I guess I should call that out. It's possible that in my cut and paste, I lost the quotes. Okay, goal number 3, new superintendent induction. By all measures, Dr. Cushing met this goal. A 4 is a met. Okay, I have to imagine that this doesn't feel good sitting over there just listening to us talk about you. Goal number 4, again, this was the bonus goal. Significant progress was made on this goal, according to all of us. And this is the quote. Oh, okay, so this is definitely one where she's saying multiple evaluations mentioned this particular program. And so this isn't attributed to one person, but rather to multiple people. Okay, standard number 1, based on the scores, proficient, and 2.875. I believe a 3 is full up proficient. So just off of, from an average point of view, just off of a full proficiency score if you were using that particular statistical method. Okay, maybe we can talk someday about why you picked that particular book, but that's kind of cool. Okay, standard number 2, which is management and operations, proficient, and 2.75, depending on your statistical method. And in this case, Ms. Quill gave us 2 different quotes. I also should say I believe that she tried to pick a quote from everybody, but hopefully if you haven't seen one of your quotes here, I apologize. I did not give her much time with which to work, based on the fact that all of y'all were supposed to turn your stuff in by Monday at 9 a.m., and I asked her to have this stuff to me today so I could make these slides. So yeah, there we are. Standard number 3, communications. Again, this score is right in between proficient and exemplary, based on one of the measures, proficient by another, proficient by another. And so I think we see here for the first time a comment that's not necessarily negative, but rather room for improvement, right? That second quote is like, okay, yeah, you're doing great things, and we can do better. And that's a growth mindset, and we absolutely hope that our students have that same growth mindset, as well as as well as everybody in our school district. Last standard, proficient by all the measures, and it's about continued learning. Okay, this is the end of the superintendent presentation. I know we're here already fairly late. I do have 2 more slides. I will send this this out for you guys. There was some talk at one of our recent meetings about attrition rates, and so I just pulled some data off of the DESE website to share with you guys, and I guess I'll just tell you that. Whoa, what the heck is going on there? Yeah, whew. Kim, is that me? I'm sorry. Our attrition rates are, in fact, some of the best within our DART communities, as well as within our surrounding communities. Within DART, where we don't see that, is there are 2 schools that have their own, as I'll call it, the patent wing. And so those 2 schools with their own patent wing, they don't send very many children out to Voc School because they don't have to, or to NSAT in our case. And the bulk of our attrition is to the Voc School. And I don't know how many of you paid attention to the city council meetings, but when the 2 superintendents, the NSAT superintendent and Dr. Cushing were both there was a lot of discussion about the fact that NSAT really is part of the public school system. And if we think about it like that, then I have a problem with how DESE is then saying we're losing all these children, we have this high attrition rate. We don't. We're giving them what they want, which is a vocational education. So, you know, as with many things with data, there's some nuance there. All right, upcoming meeting dates. We have Tuesday, our training. And we voted on a calendar very recently that had an August retreat date. I would like, maybe after the Tuesday training, maybe think about what you want us to do in the August retreat. Might be best served to wait until after our training to have that, but I promised all of you back in January that if you were unhappy with your committee assignments, we could discuss them at the retreat. So in the very least, I hope people think about that. If you want to trade, if we want any team trades. I think all of the standing, well, let me say it a different way. I don't think any of the standing committees have met since we last had a meeting. Relative to negotiations, we do have 2 of our 4 under a verbal agreement at this point in time. We have no signed contracts, but or no real official MOUs, just verbal agreements at this point in time. But I would hope that the next time that we meet, we will have at least 2, if not 4, for this body to sign. That will be my goal. And with that, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Whoa. Whoa. Kim, Ms. Coelho, you may write down whatever you want for that. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you, Kim.